Welcome to this tutorial on how to duplicate an event. So we're going to just jump across to Reds to pick up an event here, and we're going to then have a look at how we then actually duplicate our event. The purpose of duplicating events will be to make it easier when you are creating structured response shifts. So many of our responses and activations that we work on will require multiple shifts in the structure. And so this will actually be quite a common occurrence to have to actually duplicate events. What actually happens through the process of duplicating an event is it will retain a lot of information that will actually be useful when you're structuring up your events properly. And we'll talk about a few of those in a moment. So to duplicate an event, what we're going to do is we're going to just head up to our event option tab here, and about halfway down is the option duplicate event. What we can then choose when the duplicate event pop-up appears is we can select on the date that we want to actually duplicate that event for. So we will actually just duplicate one for today. When you select on the date, you will see it will appear in the event date range down here. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to create multiple duplications into one. So should I actually want to create the same event duplicated on multiple days, I can merely select the options and they'll all appear in my date range here, as you can see. This is particularly useful if you're duplicating a large-scale activation response, where, for instance, you might have a relief center running and you need to create that relief center to be running for the next 5 or so days, for instance. Once you've done that first shift and got all of the correct information, you can then duplicate that through. So I'm just going to remove these ones just for the moment, just to keep that one duplication. You do have the option to then actually copy the people. So if you did have a people on the roster of the event you're duplicating, this will then actually roster those people onto the duplicated shift. Likewise, resources any assigned will also duplicate those resources onto the duplicated event. And the bottom one will actually then send notifications upon the duplication being created. So if you have an event that you do wish the Reds to automatically send some information or some communications through to those people on the roster, you can leave that on. So we're just going to turn it off at this stage. When you're ready to go, you can duplicate your event, and you'll be then waiting for the duplication to appear here. If I was to then close this box down, the cross here, this will take us back to the original event, whereas I can actually also click on this one here, and that will actually then take me into the duplication event. What you will then need to look at as part of duplicating your event is the required things you then need to change. For instance, if you're duplicating a master, it is then going to be very unlikely it will have the same event name as a master duplication. So you will likely have to post your duplication being created. Go to your edit event and edit your details to just tidy up any of the items that you need as part of that duplication. So this one might be a different master event, for instance, or this might be actually creating the first option for a response shift. So you can make all the necessary changes and follow through the event creation tutorials on how you would actually then change up any of that information to make it appropriate. So some points of information around duplication. I'm just going to take us back here to our event so we can see what we're looking at. If you have linked events, if this master is actually linked up to another event, so for instance, it's part of a response to an activation, then any linkages that you have in there will actually be retained on the duplication. The duplication will basically follow through the same time range that you had on the original event, but it will obviously just have that time range on the date of the duplication. So if our range, as we can see here, was actually 7 AM to 1700, and that's what it was on the original, and that's what we've now got on the duplication, but just on that different date. And likewise, it will also retain all of the same sharing. So whatever events or whatever groups your event was shared to, it will retain the same sharing profile on that as well. All right, so that about does it for duplicating events. Thank you for watching this tutorial.